What up, brothers? It's Clipper King returning for a hopefully only a short video on something I've been reading on the Sideshow Freaks today. Pretty much this morning uploaded a video showing some custom parts for the DX012 Batman. Some parts I liked, some I weren't too sure on, but like I said, respect to the guys who made them and respect to the guy who sent them. Now what that led to on the Sideshow Freaks were a discussion about PERS and people's hatred of PERS, or how much PERS kills a sculpt. Now, I disagree personally, and I've read all the comments, I've read the back and forth. To be honest, it seems like only a minority who really don't like them. A lot of people are pretty neutral. I like them, but I've said before, the reason I like them is because it does help your pose options. But people say that they look like they've got eyeliner on, and they've looked like they're just a sunburst pattern on the eye, and they're not realistic and this and other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at these figures in this cabinet of what I've got. Now I will say to start with, I've got every DX figure in there apart from the new DX Joker and then the DX 1 and 2, which I have had in the past. Now I'm going to look at every DX figure, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take which I think are probably the best 2 or 3, and I'm going to compare that to the sculpted eyes on probably the best 2 or 3 sculpted eyes I've got in that cabinet, of which I've got a few as well. I'm going to tell you what I like about sculpted eyes and the PERS eyes. Right, before I roll on, I'd like to firstly say, if somebody would do me the honour of putting me this somewhere on a thread on Sideshow, because I would like the Sideshow Freaks to see this, because I've stated before, I'm a YouTube reviewer first, with the occasional visit to the Sideshow Freaks. I'm not a massive freak by any stretch, but I do enjoy it over there and I do like opinions. Like I said, I don't want to cause a shitstorm with this, but I would like the discussion to sort of go one way or another, and people to sort of say in the comments on this video, I'm for PERS or I'm against PERS, basically. So what I'm going to say is, that is what it's like outside. I've got spotlights above, I've got the spotlights in the cabinet and the strip lighting, and the light on the camera is on, as you can see. Now I will state that this camera has an optical zoom of ×40, which means it should, if it'll focus in good lighting, bear with me, that should find my fingerprints, which it does pretty easy when the lighting's good. And that is, my fingertip is about 1 inch away from the lens there. So what I'm saying is, I'm going to go into a figure, such as we'll go to Bane. See, he does have the sculpted painted eyes, and I can get to there. Obviously the camera's now blocking out the lighting. I can get as close as you want or as far away as you want to show the eyes. So we're going to get this in good detail. So I just wanted to specify that. Now, firstly, looking at that figure at that distance, you're gonna be able to make a judgment on the eyes. Now tell me this firstly, who looks at the collection from that distance? Because if I put my face now where my camera is and film myself, bear with me, I'd pretty much, can you see me? I'd pretty much be looking at him like that. Now my eyes can't even focus on that like my camera did. Look, that is the thing. Anybody who views the collection like that, you've got problems somewhere in your mind. Most of us will probably look at a shelf from a distance like that, so you're getting the full look of the shelf. So that's firstly. People who are getting that close to the eyes, it is a little bit anal to say that, but like I said, for the sake of putting my 10 cents worth in, I am doing this video. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go through the PERS and tell you what I like on each figure. Right, that's the DX Jack Sparrow. For me, still the best head sculpt of any figure released. Some might disagree, he's not the best character, he's possibly not the best figure, but head sculpt wise, he's got to be up there in top 3 without question. Now let's have a look at his eyes. Some people say PERS creates a fake sort of mascara eyeshadow. Now on that figure, if that head sculpt has got a problem, then I don't see it. So if you look down where his eye meets the sculpt, I don't think the gap's overly big. I think you can see eyeshadow, but that's because he wears eyeshadow. I think the eyes are just about in the right position to go with that pose. And like I say, that possibly is the best head sculpt in this collection. So look at where the light hits the eyeball. Looks nice and glassy and realistic to me. Now somebody showed me a Jack Sparrow on Sideshow Freaks to prove the realism or accuracy or whatever. I'm not having it that picture look more like Jack Sparrow than that does. I won't have it. Them eyes don't look fake and toyish to me. That could be a picture of Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow. Now let's move on to some sculpted eyes. Straight behind him is a Wolverine. Really nice figure. Sculpted eyes. Them eyes don't seem as glassy or as real as the Jack Sparrow eyes to me. Now that could be because this figure is a little bit older. Might have dulled. The other thing is, I think when you pull away from that figure, because of how its eyes are, it's got pretty much a vacant stare in his face. Where I think, moving to that, it's pretty much like he's just glanced at side. Now that's my thought on that. Indiana Jones, got more stick than enough this figure, and the amount of pictures I've seen. Now I will say that head sculpt has been slightly repainted. Not massively so, but it has. It's been sort of charcoaled and sprayed to get a sweaty effect and a slightly redder tanned cheek area, and also the 5 o'clock shadow painted myself. All the work on it I did myself, and round his mouth. The eyes, people say again, with this one, he's got an eye shadow effect. Now, I don't think personally that it's the PERS that creates the eye shadow effect. I think it's the sculpt that houses the PERS eyeballs. I think that the lower eyelid, if it's called eyelid, I think it still is, I think that it is a little bit too deep, if anything. Let's have a look. It says some of these aren't best lighted, but I personally, and I think that where the eyes are, makes you look at it from that angle. Now, if I look at that from there, I see Harrison Ford. Other angles on this figure, I don't. So there, I would say PERS helps because you can make people look at the figure from where you want them to. Moving on to the DX10. Now, nobody will convince me that Arnold is not better than the MMS Arnold with the painted eyes. I just will not have it. If anybody could come with some photo proof or whatever and compare one to the other and say, look, this looks more like him than that does, then I'll put my hands up and say I'm wrong. But I just will not have it that is not Arnold and the MMS Crazy Frog version is a better Arnold. Now, the pose I've got that in, you can see it's focusing on gun. I've pretty much got the gun at arm's length. That pose wouldn't work if that had got sculpted eyes, because what I would have to do, let me bring it out. What I would have to do is, say his eyes were front and centre. I would have to put his head somewhere there for him to be looking that barrel. Now, it'd look unnatural. In fact, he'd look a total fucking mug. You imagine if them eyes were straight forward. You know what I mean? Look, all his body contour's wrong. People don't turn their head like that. People, when they look from side to side, look to a certain degree, and then their eyes do the rest. Stand in the mirror and have a look at yourself. When you're looking from side to side, your head don't turn all the way. It turns so far and your eyes do the rest. And that is where PERS helps somebody who likes to pose figures such as I do. Now, so that is another point for PERS sort of thing. The Barney Ross again, painted eyes, really well done. I do like that. I do like that sculpt. I think it's Sylvester Stallone bang on and probably one of the best head sculpts released, I would say. Now, again, regardless what he's doing, he's got to be looking towards, his head's got to be fully turned. So you pretty much, with a pose like that, or gun up, or twin pistols out, but his head's always facing front and centre. With the Terminator, because his eyes move, you can have him more like that, and like I say, the eyes do the rest. So again, I do like that. Right, of the sculpted painted eyes, I would think a couple of the best are probably the Godfather, the Carlito by Blitzway, and the Respect version of Scarface by Enterbay. Now, Enterbay hardly ever have their eyes straight forward. They'll always have them off from one side to another. Now, that's okay if he's posed like that. that head sculpt is pretty bang on for a young Pacino for me, and he's probably my best sculpted eyes head sculpt in the collection. I think his eyes are really natural. I think the sculpt in general is pretty amazing, if I'm honest. And I don't think it gets the respect that it deserves, because people are still comparing this and saying, what should I buy, that or Blitzway one? It's not an option for me. If you want the best head sculpt, it's this one all day long. Sue and other bits and bobs you can argue, but head sculpt, it's that one. Fucking every day at week and twice on a Sunday. Now, I like them eyes and I like that head sculpt, but what happens when you pose that figure from there and we turn that head and we put it down, it's fucked because he's not looking nowhere. He's pretty much looking at Carlito's shoulder. What's happening? So to get that figure to be looking somewhere near camera, you've got to have his head all the way around there. Again, unnatural. So, like I said, it is nice as long as you're posing it how the company want you to pose it, pretty much. Sort of like that. So, like I said, if it had PERS, then as long as the sculpt was still the same, but the eyeballs moved around inside, I can't see why the PERS would kill it, because I think it would still be an awesome sculpt. Just change the eye sort of thing. As long as the eye socket is the same size, then it's accurate to me. And then the eyes inside, as long as the size of the pupil and retina were right, then it's not the fault of the eyeball inside sort of thing. Again, moving on. Carlito, awesome. Pretty new figure. Awesome face. Awesome sculpt. Nice eyes. Really full of life. But again, pretty much got him in a pose facing forward like that. Very little pose option with him because of the neutral look on his face and the vanilla stare kind of thing. And I'd say the same about the other two behind as well. So I'll move on to another one. Hawkeye from the Avengers. As you can see, got him with his bow up, ready to fire. Now I keep the glasses on that for the simple reason is you can't see his eyes. Now I think the eyes are good, I think they're well painted and everything. I do like the sculpt. I don't think it's as amazing as some people say, but I do like it. Now that head has pretty much got to be in line with that alt time. Now me personally, I would sooner dip that down, maybe swivel it and have his eyes positioned now looking towards the end of the arrow. So somewhere like that. But again, he's got that vanilla, vacant look on his face where you sort of... It's not real. It's not how real people do it. You wouldn't have your eyes dead forward. You would have them positioned, glancing to what you're either at the end of the bow and then glancing at what you're aiming at. So, again, there I think it suffers because it doesn't have PERS. Captain America, determined looking. Nice eye sculpt, nice and glossy. Is it vacant looking? I would say so a little bit, if I'm honest. Now, two figures that I'm glad have got PERS, both for two different reasons. I'm going to start off with this one. No figure needs PERS as much as that figure does. For the simple reason is, there's no articulation at all in the neck. Very, very stiff and upright. You can't turn it because these spikes will then rotate against your cape. So what you've got to do is, if, for example, I'd got on pose something like that, and he wants to look towards the Joker, or he were glancing, I would have to do that with the eyes, because other than that, I'd have to have him pose like that, and that'd look fucking ridiculous. Focus, you bastard. Not that phone. Camera's going nuts. I'd have to have them pose something like that. But, like I say, I wouldn't have that. So, to have that, and if you had, say you had that arm out firing the a batarang or the grapple hook or whatever, you can't have him looking that way with his arm aiming that way. It'd look stupid. So what you would have to do is position his eyes, so his eyes would be looking across here along his arm. That would be the natural thing to do. Plus, let's get him. Do his eyes look like the two deep set. I know his eyes are painted round them, so you don't see any like mascara effect or anything like that. I still think that is one of the best cowled, well, best masked head sculpts I've ever seen. So, and that has PERS, so that's good enough for me. Onto the Joker. Now, I demonstrated this when I reviewed this figure. From that angle, in fact, we're going to go to extremes. Let me put a pause in here and I'll show you what I like about the PERS on this figure. Again, about an inch away from his face. Now, I don't think his eyes look like they're too deep set, or his eyes are too wide. And I think if you look at him from there, he's got a menace look on his face, evil to core. Now, with use of PERS, all I'm going to do here is tip his head back, bring his eyes forward, and he's going to go from a menacing grin to an happy smile. And that wouldn't be possible without PERS. So, like I say, if Hot Toys put up 3 signs today and told us the next 3 DX figures were the Muhammad Ali, the Rocky from Rocky 1, and who else would I like? We'll just say them two. Oh, Prince. We'll say Prince because I'd like a Prince figure. Say Hot Toys told us they were their next 3 DX figures. I would order them. If Hot Toys then said we're also going to release these figures with sculpted eyes, I would order them as well. So to me, DX, PERS or no, it don't matter. But I don't choose one over another. Well, I do if I'm honest. I choose PERS over none because I think it takes a pose from looking okay to awesome. Like I said, that is what I like about PERS. And like I said, if you're leaving your comments below, sort of agree on PERS or dislike them, we'll get sort of a count up or how many people see the point I'm trying to make. And going back to the figure that started the whole debate today, and probably the reason I'm making this video, is the Batman. Pretty much because people are saying they prefer the custom head sculpts. Some have said it's because of the PERS. Now I disagree. I think they prefer the custom head sculpts because either the size of the cowl or the sculpt or the facial expression. I don't think it's all because of the PERS at all. I think people have said the eyes are too wide on this, to which I said I painted the lower eyelids on mine, and I think the eyes are as good as any custom I've seen. Some might differ. But like I said, I certainly wouldn't change and have that Batman without PERS in it because, like I said, if you're looking from where Bane is, I pretty much got the pose I want, sort of Batman keeping his eye on Bane sort of thing. And like I say, it means that you can pose the head anywhere and sort of just slightly move his eyes, and it then makes him looks like he's doing something, I suppose. So, like I said, I'm not saying nobody's right or wrong, I'm just telling you my preference, and I'm just trying to get a feel for who agrees and who disagrees. Not much more I can say. A couple of people have asked me if I've ever showed my old display. Most of my followers would tell you that I show it quite often, so any new subscribers who aren't familiar with my channel yet, just have a look through, because I do go through when I do repos. I'm always showing the collection. So, but for now, it's a Clipper King, and I'm out of here.